This is an experiment to try and make an organ drawbar system using MIDI-based gear only. And the video is a bit scrappy, I'm afraid, but I was trying to capture it as it happened, then glue it all together with this voiceover. I'm not an expert on these drawbar systems, apart from having the pleasure of once owning a Farfisa, regretfully sold, so apologies if I've missed something blindingly obvious. If you've not come across them, drawbars are a set of volume controls for different pitches of the same sound. They're related harmonically, and you can create a large range of sounds by juggling the levels. Now, there are plenty of soft synths which already understand drawbar messages from external controllers, but I wanted to make something work with any multi-timbral synth. I'll be trying a Supernova, an EMU sampler and a korg Karma, but the idea should work with anything. And I also wanted to use standard MIDI controllers for the same reason. I'll be trying a drehbank with its rotary controls and a peavey 1600 with more realistic faders. So, seems simple enough. Step 1 was to configure the same program or patch at different pitches on each channel of the synth. Here's how I did it with the Supernova. This is program mode for individual patches. So one note from the keyboard will play one sound. Now in performance mode, this is the multi-timbral setting. The performance is made up of 8 parts. Now I've just got a basic sine wave, which sounds like this. And in the part you can give it a tuning offset. And the second part is -5, third part -12, and so on. By the way, you're not alone if you're wondering why pipes 2 and 3, the 5 1/3 and 8 foot, appear to be in the wrong order, but apparently this is by convention. Once the patches are set up, we can use the MIDI controller to send standard volume change messages on each channel. This is just standard multi-track mixing using MIDI, except that each track is the same sound, but at a different pitch. So, no problem, I thought, until I tried playing it. It only played one pipe. Now, this is obvious in hindsight, but the keyboard only sends out messages on one channel at a time, so although the volume faders give you individual control, it only plays one pipe. And if you configure the synth to play all of them, you lose the individual volume control, catch-22. Now, you're probably screaming out the obvious solution, apart from using a custom synth, so I may be going down a blind alley here. But the only thing I could come up with was to get the keyboard to send messages on multiple channels at once. It seemed a bit crude as it increases the MIDI traffic, but it was worth a try. Now, some keyboards can be configured to do this already, and if you've got one of those, there's nothing more to see. But my microkorg cannot do this, and the aim was to make it work for any gear, so plan B was to use software to do this channel splatting. And as the Secatron was already part of my setup, a new feature was added for testing. All I've done is added an option in the configuration. We do config misc. I called it multi-channel, for want of a better word. The way it works is any note on or note off messages will be duplicated onto a range of channels, and you specify the minimum channel and the maximum channel with these 2 drop-down boxes. You can switch the whole effect on or off. If I click Tools, Diagnostics, press a key on the keyboard, and I've pressed it down and let go, so you can see the note on and note off. So that's as you'd expect, one note being played. I'll switch it on, I'll press the same note again, and this time pressing down I get a whole range of channel on messages, and let go, a whole range of channel off. So the idea was to merge these multi-channel messages from the keyboard with volume messages from the controller, using either a MIDI merge box or the auxiliary input on the Secatron. This shot of the port section shows the main and aux inputs, which are merged together. So, does it work? Well, here are some examples using the various bits of kit. First up is the Supernova synth with the drehbank controller. I've got 1 1/3 foot, 1 3/5, 2 foot. Bit of a discord there, but that's 2 2/3, 4 foot, 8 foot. I'll just play a few of those. Right, I'm not trying to be flashy because I'm not that good, but I'm just showing that multiplying all those notes by 8 has not impacted the playing speed. I'm sure it will affect somebody playing super fast, but for my purposes that's perfectly adequate. Let's bring in some more notes. That's a 5 1/3, and then it's a 16 foot. Now obviously we can use any patches for these pipes, so you'll have to excuse my little indulgence here. After all, it was all new to me at the time. If you're after authenticity, please look away now, and normal service will be resumed with the Karma. So here's a strings preset. Here's an arpeggiated preset. Right, now we'll transfer over to the microKORG keyboard and peavey controller using its factory volume change preset. Next step is to modify the peavey to make the sliders work in reverse, just like drawbars. I'll copy the original preset to a spare one. Right, fader 1. Number 7 means it's a volume fader, so that doesn't change, but the range does. So it's currently going from 0 to 127. Right, 127 there. And 0 there. Now we've got to work out how to get out of here. Exit. And then we do the same for all the other faders. Okay, we've finished the edits and we've just called it inverse volume with solo. 0, now 127. So they're working the opposite way around to before. The patch is now changed back to sine waves now on the Supernova. So we'll try that. Now we'll check out the KORG Karma. There may be a better way, but I chose to use song play for multi-timbral mode. Unfortunately, I couldn't find a pitch offset option for each channel like the Supernova, so I ended up making 9 separate programs. Right, we've made up a program. It's just a sample sine wave and set the octave and transpose values depending on which pipe we want. So this one is -2 octaves. And we've called that sine -24. And the next one same sine wave, but you can see it's no octaves but -5 semitones. So that's the next pipe. And so on. There's a -12, 0, +7, +12, +16, 19 and 24. So we've got the full set of 9 on this one because the Karma can handle 16 channels. So we're using the first 9. These 9 programs were then added to the first 9 tracks in song play mode. Number 1 is our sine -24. Number 2 is sine -5. And 3 -12 and so on. So all the faders are 0. Nothing comes out. We'll try a 16 foot. 5 1/3. That's a full set. Right, done exactly the same as before, but with a square wave. And this is what it sounds like. I forgot to video the EMU setup process, so these bits are a reconstruction and may not be exactly what was used. As with the Karma, I loaded individual presets for each pipe, using the global option in the Edit Preset menu to change each offset. These were then assigned to each channel in multi-mode. This time I used all 16 channels, 9 for one sound and 7 for another, and set the sequitron to span 1 to 16. 4 foot flute. 8 foot. 16. That's 16 channels on each one, each note. As I say, my playing skills aren't brilliant, but it seems to be following it. It's not bad for me. So that's it. The patches can be fine-tuned later to add as much realism as you like, such as a percussive attack, but that's the basic idea. If there's a more obvious way, let me know and I'll ditch this video. Otherwise, I hope it was useful, and I'll make the sequitron mod permanent. Either way, it was a good bit of fun on a cold, wet afternoon, so thanks for watching.